Inflation's really cool when you own things and the prices keep going up.
Until you look at the tax bill.
Well, that's a whole other problem. So, but I was talking to someone like if you're, middle class, lower middle class, working class, and you don't have a tremendous amount of assets, and these prices go up, you got none of the benefit of asset classes going up, but all the burden of the inflation.
Right.
If you just live in an apartment right now and you got a few bucks in a savings account, you're getting slaughtered. We know that prices could, 20-30% on food, gas, and you're getting like 0.25% on your money market account at your hometown savings bank.
Yeah.
Like your net worth just went down. Like now, if you own a house and some cars and a second home and a boat and some Rolexes, which I don't even own a Rolex, but you and I talk about how crazy the Rolex prices are.
Yeah.
Now, if you own assets like that, well, they all went up too.
Right.
And I think this hurts a lot of people, and then it sucks for a lot of people. But does it ever stay here is the question.
Yeah. What do you think?
I don't know if has anyone ever seen anything like this? Have we ever seen an economy that pumped $6 trillion in, or probably more for all we know, and then figured out what the long-term lasting effect of that was? Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, it's true. It surprised me how resilient how housing prices have stayed up. Like I definitely, I'm just using personal anecdote now, but like I remember when at like the height of COVID, or the beginning of this year, end of last year, I remember like at least my house value went up ridiculous amounts, relative, right? Ridiculous to me, but and I fully expected it to fall right back to wherever I purchased it at. But it's remained, it's, at least what Zillow is telling me, is it's remained decent. It's definitely not at the heights, but it's decently high. So I'm fully expecting it to come down, but I've been surprised. Definitely surprising.
Let's not forget that Zillow just had to like stop.
Yeah.
Flip, like, it's just a FYI.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, I'll tell you exactly what. Yeah.
It may not be as accurate as you think it is. So
part of me is like, God, I hope it is accurate.
Yeah, I mean, what I do is I go in and I look at what the Zillow, it used to be able to, I don't know if you can now, but I know homes in my area that sold, and I know what the Zillow estimate was, and then you see what they actually sell for.
Yep.
And I would say Zillow has been at the very bottom number, or even sometimes a little bit less than that. So if like a house, I'm just making a number up, is selling for 500,000, or Zillow says it's worth from 500 to 550, you'll see that house sell for like 550 or like 490.
I see.
I have not seen anything sell anywhere near Zillow's upper. It makes you feel good as a homeowner. But I saw one that I was curious. I looked it up, and it was listed for or Zillow said it was worth like 4.7 to 5.2 million or something like that.
Yeah.
And then it sold for like 4.2. I definitely think it's on from what I've seen here in this market. I don't know about anywhere else. It's inflated.
No, it doesn't surprise me. It doesn't surprise me at all.
I might have just popped your bubble there.
It's okay.
Damn it! I'm about to buy that Rolex. I don't know. It's double-edged sword. It's cool if you own a house right now, but it's not, because just use an example. If you own a $500,000 house and things just went up, 20%, now your home's worth 600. Is that right? I might be messing the math. The problem is if you want to buy $1 million house, the amount of money that house went up is twice as much as the amount of money you gained. The math doesn't actually work when you're trying to acquire the thing you want next.
Right.
Yes, you technically have more money on the books, but when everything else went up in price, the actual value of that money is about the same. The problem is the thing you want Like your house went up 20%, so it went from 5 to 6. The problem is your $1 million house went from $1 million to 1.2.
Right.
So you gained 100, but that other home just got $100,000 more out of reach.
Yeah.
And I don't think people ever really want to pay attention to that.
Mm-hmm.
And then if you have no assets at all, wow, things really suck.
Yeah.
Because now I'm watching, we talked in prior episodes, my childhood home sold for like last year, like 85 or 90K or something. It's like a 700 square foot. My garage is bigger than the home I grew up in right now. And, we got like, how many people we had packed in there? 5, 6, 7 people one time packed in that little house. Yeah. This is why I was never home. Like, who the hell wants to be in, the upstairs is, man, bad memories. Yeah, you just hang out on the street all day, King.
Yeah.
But that was 80, 90K off the top of my head. I think at one point this year it sold for like 140, 150.
Yeah.
And now I'm watching, like, you're not seeing the wages for like the work. It's a working class, I can't even say middle class, working class. That's the kind of homes you buy. I mean, an $80,000 house, it's actually pretty affordable if you look at the payment. And even if you put like 3 or 5% down with property taxes, you could buy $80,000 house probably for less than what you rent an apartment for these days. So that was like the affordability for the working class. Well, that working class dream of getting that house is getting further and further away, because now it's 150. And then, how much upward mobility? They buy at 150. How much can they make? So they can generate a little wealth for themselves. You keep seeing the little guy get crushed, and I came from that background, and it bothers me because while I believe the American dream is still alive, it is slipping away. Unfortunately, we cause a lot of this by dumping money in the system. So
yeah,
it's we are great at causing our own problems.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. And then refusing to fix the underlying issue.
I mean, that's your big thing, and it's so true. We don't ever fix the underlying issue. We say, what's wrong right now? And it's like, if better I keep coming into like the doctor's office with a gunshot wound every day. And the doctor's like, all right, we'll put some gauze on it and patch you up. And I come in the next day and it's like, oh yeah, I got another bullet. Patch me up, put the gauze on. The good doctor would go, why do you keep getting shot?
Right.
Can we figure out how to keep you from getting shot? Like, we never want to just go with, say, causality. What got us here, and how do we prevent that from happening? It's, the economy's gone down. Throw some money at it. It's not happening fast enough. Throw some more money at it. Like you're at a strip club with one of those like dollar bill machine guns shooting it up in the air.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden, it's like bikes are sold out for 2 years now. It's like, oh, that's strange. Who bought all the bikes?
Yeah.
Because that's how much money was in the system, dude. I'm trying to buy bikes or toys for tots right now. It ain't easy, man. It is crazy. So it's one of those things that we're gonna have to blow all this money, and we will. We're America. We will spend this money. Like, we will buy it, throw it out, and buy it again. Like, that's just what we do.
It's true.
And at some point, and we will make Amazon and Target and everyone else extremely wealthy in the meantime. And then when we finally kind of get back to normal, you'll probably see like housing prices and stuff normalize.
Right.
But that's something we talked about in this other episode we just did, where there's my analogy of I go to the doctor and I got a bad virus, and the guy's like, ain't nothing I can give you. It's just going to have to run its course. And I'm like, I've been sick for a week. He's like, yeah, you might be sick for another week. He's like, drink a bunch of water. Like, that's it. Like, they can't, there's no magic bullet. It's a virus. They can't give you an antibiotic to really fix this one, right? It's,
right.
Take some Claritin if your nose is running a lot, or I can give you cough medicine to fix the cough, but I can't fix the virus. You're just going to have to let it run its course.
Right.
There's no fix for this one. If we try to suck the money back out with interest rates, this whole thing collapses. So I think we're just going to have to sit here watch prices go up and down, watch supply chain issues come and go, and finally, when we spend all this money, things will go back to normal. And Kane, your house at normal still might be up. We don't know.
It better be, James.
I'll tell you what, I have a small piece of property I was trying to offload. I don't need it anymore. And I hit the broker up that sold it to me, and it's just it's small enough to be like a cash deal. It's not something most people would mortgage. And they're like, yeah, we're not even messing with properties that size anymore.
Wow.
And I'm like, you sold it to me. You can't sell it. Like, so I hit like 4 or 5 realtors up, and it's not something that's like $300-400 grand. It's just smaller property.
Mm-hmm.
And they're so busy selling these homes at these crazy prices that they just can't get it done. Right. They don't want to mess with it. It's such a little money to them. They don't want to mess with it. And I'm like, who would have thought this is where we'd be in December? And then I'm like, well, I'll just sell it myself. It's, whatever. Well, you find a title company, or, I don't even know the process of it. I think you hire a title company to do all like the paperwork. And they're like, yeah, 45, 60 days to close or some shit, King. Like everyone's so busy doing home transactions that I was like, screw it. I'm just going to wait until I don't even care at this point.
Mm-hmm.
Like there's something going on out there that we don't fully understand.
We're going to see another demo of people that exit the workforce. It's going to be the real estate brokers who got ridiculously wealthy in the last 20 months. To people.
Yeah, that was I like watching TV shows that blow up. So there's the Real Housewives, and it became such a big show. I like watching the very first season. I always like watching a series to see where did it start, because it makes you wonder. There's another show on Discovery Channel. It was like kind of fake ass street racing called Street Outlaws. But that started off with this one show, and then it morphed into something else. So I like going back to that first season and saying, what did it look like? And it's like, man, it's like they took this and turned it into that, but they knew they had something here, right?
Mm-hmm.
So season 1 rarely ever looks like season 4 or 5. It matures, they get better, usually, unless they write it into the ground. The funny part is about the Real Housewives season 1, they had all those people that were making an abnormal amount of money in real estate. The Slade guy, everyone was in mortgages. They were selling loans, like realtors. Not everyone on the show, but you got a taste about how much abnormal money was being made.
Yeah.
And then I started to know people. I think back to people around here that I knew were in the business, and they were making like 6 figures. And I know these people. Like, they're not worth 6 figures in like 10 years. Like, they're maybe like 10 grand a year. Like, I'm not saying they're that bad, but they're probably like $40,000 people.
Mm-hmm.
2005-ish, 6, they're making so much money. I'm like, but they were living that life like they were going to make 150 forever.
Mm-hmm.
And I would say, do you, what happens if this blows up? What else can you do to make 150? And they could never answer that question. And so what I told them was, if you can't replace this job, then maybe you should just maintain a lifestyle of like 50 grand a year. Because when this pops, you could probably get a job for 50 and still keep your life.
Right.
Well, that was like a lot of people on the Real Housewives show. They were living that lifestyle, making abnormal money, and then when it pops, they couldn't go make that money. Like, I look back, Kane, those people I knew making 6 figures. Like, I own recruiting companies, executive search companies. Like, CFOs were making $150 back then. It's like, you get busted out of mortgages, you're telling me you're gonna go do the same job as this CFO?
Right.
No, man. Like, you were just rolling hot dogs at Speedway like a year ago. Like, you're not.
Yeah.
But they got into something and they made a bunch of money, but then they started thinking that was going to last forever.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, that got busted out, and then they couldn't find a job to even pay them a third of what they were making. So then they lost their homes and their cars and all their stuff. And that's kind of when you see the bubble pop.
Mm-hmm.
So, I don't know. We don't know what the bubble's going to pop. It's when the people stop having the money to pay bills is when it goes south.
Right.
The thing is, Kane, I'm looking at what we're seeing on the hiring side the next 36 to 60 months. This understaffing issue is not going away anytime soon.
Right.
Which means that people are probably going to stay employed. And it's one of those things, you can have all the debt in the world, but as long as you can service that debt, it doesn't matter.
Right. Right.
So if we can keep people employed so they can pay their debt, who knows when this pops? So we'll see. Interesting question. Let's just say that you had an extra $500,000 right now and you saw a property you wanted. Would you buy cash or would you finance it?
I'd finance it, I think. Yeah.
Yeah, I agree. That's what I would do.
Mm-hmm.
I know someone that just, what they spend about $700 on a quote unquote investment property, I guess. And they paid cash for it. And they're like parading around like, and it's like, man, I don't know anybody that's got real money. When I say real money, more than $10 million.
Yeah.
They don't do stuff like that. They look at, what do I need to put down? 20%. They put down 20%. And then they take the rest of that money and they go do something productive with it. And am I the only one that's thinking that way? I know I'm not, because I have friends that don't think that way, but I hear more and more people trying to pay cash for everything. It's like, I'm not sure we're ever going to see mortgage rates this low in our lives again.
Right. Exactly.
So if you could lock in a bunch of money right now at a low rate and go get, hell, even 5% more on your investment somewhere, or invest into something like a business, whatever it is you want to do, it just seems like there's a better return on your investment than paying for a piece of real estate right now, cash.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
But that I read something that in Manhattan, 50% of all transactions are done in cash.
That's wild.
Don't quote me on that, but I'm pretty sure I read that. And it tells you just how much damn money New York City has.
Wow.
Bonkers.
In cash. Okay, I was thinking, maybe it's just the same people, cycling through properties, but that can't be if it's all cash.
It's one of those things that I think when you're trying to gain wealth, you're trying to think of, how do I get my money to work for me?
Mm-hmm.
So you're if you think about $100,000 in capital, you start thinking about, well, if I could, I might be able to make 2 or 3 investments with that $100,000.
Right.
And I think that's how, when people are trying to really grow their wealth, I'm thinking that I'm not paying for that house cash. I'm going to put 20% down. I'm going to lock in this super low BS rate. And then I'm going to take the rest of this money and I'm going to go make that money work for me. Paying for that house in cash ain't working for me. It's saving me a little bit of interest. But I'm going to get either way, I could get a value increase or a decrease on that home. But if it is increasing, then whether I got a loan on it or not, that house is going to go up the same amount of money. So I may as well take this money in and go put it to work for me. Now, I have a feeling the ultra wealthy, if you're you got 100 or 200 million or 500 million or $1 billion, you're not thinking about this, $10 million house you're buying. You just I'm going to wire the money for it. At that point, you're probably just paying cash for stuff. So I think it's the different layers of wealth. And, you got $10 billion. You're not financing properties for 20% anymore, unless you're buying the, who knows what, the Pentagon.
Yeah.
You might finance that one, but other than that, you're just paying cash. But I think for average Joe trying to just gain wealth, I mean, everyone's got their own investing style. I'm not giving investing advice. There's a lot of other investments I'd rather put my money into right now and tie it up in a piece of property.
Yeah. I hear you.
Anyways, that's all I got for this one. Yeah, my catch.